My name is Lon Safko, co-author of the Social Media Bible published by John Wiley & Sons, the most comprehensive book ever written on the subject of social media. And today we are here with John Pollard, one of the founders and CEO of Jott. Wow. And we're going to be speaking about Jott, digital conversion, social media. And so John, gosh, it's great to have you here today.
Happy to talk with you, Lon.
This is great. You've been a big supporter of this book through this very long, arduous process, and I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it all come together.
Well, thank you. John, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background? It's kind of impressive. Can you tell them who you are and what you do?
Sure. I've been in technology maybe for 20 years, something like that, starting in the late 80s where I was working with pretty big companies, helping them figure out system integration problems. And I moved from that into Microsoft in the early 90s and working on some consumer products there. And, at the time, when I got there, only 5% of PCs had CD-ROM drives. There was no web. There was no nothing like what you see today. And we were trying to build sort of a content business, and that was just fascinating. We made a lot of really, really great products at the time. And I had a nice career at Microsoft doing Sidewalk and Office and a few other things, and ultimately landed in the travel business in a product called Expedia, which is one of the biggest online travel sellers in the world now. And my job there specifically was taking Expedia overseas. And at the time, this is the late 90s, the U.S. was quite a bit ahead of overseas markets in terms of web development, in terms of e-commerce development. And so, I built a team of people to do that. And I just, that remains one of the highlights of my career, just working on great technology with wonderful people all over the world. And, to make a long story short, I left Microsoft in 2005, actually early 2006, and started this company, Jott. And in many ways, it's sort of the culmination of a lot of things that I had seen in my career. I wanted to do something that had global impact, that worked on mobile devices, cell phones, that was simple, had very high utility, had great brand, and really did things for people. I didn't want to build something that was trivial. I wanted to build something that had high value for people. And so I founded the company with a gentleman named Sri Madhavapeti, who I met at Microsoft, and who's a brilliant technical mind as well as a brilliant businessman. And we've been going at this since about April 2006, so almost 2.5 years now, and it's been a great ride.
It's exciting. So you left a nice, secure job at Fortune 500 Microsoft to go off and be an entrepreneur again.
That's right. That's right. My father-in-law was asking me, if I'm crazy or not. But
Well, that's what the French word for entrepreneur is. Mentally insane. Oh, geez. Well, I think the fact that you're going after mobile technology and you're supporting it and providing a service for mobile, I think is awesome. Some of the previous interviews that we've done, like Kakal Shrivastava from Flickr quoted that right now there's actually 3 cell phones per human being on the planet. That's astonishing.
Yeah, where are we going to put all those batteries?
Yeah, that's also astonishing, too. And when I spoke with Amanda Vega, she was saying that in a lot of the third world countries, especially Africa, where they really can't afford computers or internet access, everyone gets their email and web access through cellular technology.
That's exactly right. It's it's an alternative way of accessing the internet. It's in some ways the cellular infrastructure is completely bypassed landline infrastructure. The backhaul that was done in the developed world over the many years just as really hasn't had to be done in the developing world in some places. It's really been remarkable, and it's a great thing in general.
And I think you're on the wave. It seems that that's what you've done with your entire career, stay on that crest, because I really think that this is going to be the next big boom, not only in social media, but also just the internet as a whole, that the whole mobile side of it.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that there are going to be different ways of accessing the internet, and that In some populations, it's going to be primarily mobile-driven. In some, economies, some geographies, it's going to be a healthy mix of a desktop and a mobile phone. But I'm a big believer in mobile, and I think sometimes things are overhyped and people overestimate, what's going to happen to one degree or another. But we think it's here to stay. I know, one of the central things behind Jott is that people look at their mobile phone, whether it's an iPhone or just your humble average phone. Mm-hmm. They really look at it as a trusted appliance, this thing that they have with them all the time.
All the time.
And we're taking advantage of that.
Well, and let's get to that. First of all, I love Jott. I talk about it in all my conferences when I do keynotes. I even have a slide on you guys because I can't live without the technology, kind of now that I'm hooked, by the way. Can you tell our listeners what Jott is, how it works, what's the story behind it?
Sure. I sometimes I can tell the technology, or I can tell a persona. I sort of do a little bit of both sometimes. Let me try to put it this way. I sort of ask a question, which is, would you hire the following kind of person? A person who always picked up the phone for you, a person who took dictation, a person who sent email and text messages for you hands-free so you didn't have to take your eye off the road, a person who would post messages or post calendar items to Google Calendar just using your voice, a person that would let you retrieve information from your favorite sources like the New York Times or TechCrunch or what have you with just your voice. Would never sleep, doesn't complain, doesn't whine, and does some of this for free. Would you hire this person? And of course the answer is yes. Really, what Jott is a mobile productivity tool that works on any phone. It doesn't require any downloads. It doesn't require a particular carrier contract. It doesn't require anything but what you already have. You simply call a number, 1-866-JOTT-123, 1-866-JOTT-123, and you'll be asked a simple question, which has many answers, but it's a simple question. Who do you want to Jott? And if you say yourself or if you say notes, you'll hear a beep, and you can say something and hang up, and we will take your voice and convert it to text automatically and then give it to you on your desktop.
Wow.
And, it's really as simple as that. You call a number, you say something, you hang up. Everybody in the world knows how to make a phone call, and so everybody in the world knows how to use Jott automatically. And the beauty of it is that simple sequence of things allows you to capture thoughts, allows you to be more organized. It allows you to communicate with people hands-free. So in response to the question, who do you want to Jott, I could say Lon Safko. And you'd hear a beep, and then I could record a message to you, and Jott would deliver that text message to you and an email message to Lon Safko. So if I was in traffic and I really needed to contact you, I could Jott you. It's really quite remarkable that something so simple with such an easy-to-use user experience does so many different things and is so powerful. I think we've really struck a nerve.
I think you did. I mean, the people that have used it, I asked people, matter of fact, Thursday I was presenting to the Enterprise Network here in Phoenix, about 130 or so people, and I'd say more than a third of the audience actually is currently using Jott. And as soon as I mentioned it, the other two-thirds of the audience immediately wanted to know how they could start using Jott, because I think it did strike a nerve. I use it continuously. I'm in a meeting, and I've got to get some notes, or I've got to remember to do something. And like you said, in the car, too, I used to keep a pad and a pen in my console, and every time I would get a thought or an idea, I would have to try to write it down while I'm doing 70 miles an hour down the freeway. But now, just by hitting speed dial, it text messages to my phone. It text messages to other people's phones. If I'm going to be late for a meeting, all I have to do is say it. I think it's a great technology.
Yeah, it's really cool. And Sri and I, we met each other in Microsoft in the Windows Mobile group, and he and I are big fans of all the latest mobile technology, whether it's the iPhone or some of the great stuff that RIM has come out with or is going to come out with, or the Windows mobile devices. We think that stuff's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But what we realized was that we really wanted to build a product that everybody could use. And so the way we did it was, we put it behind a phone number, as I said, and that simplicity up front is a lot of hard work, because on the back end, we're doing very, very complicated things. And that's just terrific. It allows people to stay more organized, be more in touch, and be more informed. And
pay attention
frankly,
to the road.
We can all use that.
Exactly. And you said the back end. Can you talk a little bit about, I was one of the early pioneers of voice recognition back in the early 80s, even actually late 70s. So I have an extensive background in voice recognition and some of the complexities that go along with it.
Yep.
And but this is really the most accurate I've ever seen. So is it a combination of human intervention and voice recognition? I mean, can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It is that, in fact. It is a question of, what we decided at the beginning of the company was that what mattered to people most was simplicity and quality. And it wouldn't make any sense to build a product where what came out the other end was gobbledygook.
Yeah.
What we really needed to have happen was have a super simple front end that works the way people work, and then deliver quality results in the back end. And the reality is that people are using Jott in real places. They use it in their car, and they use it between meetings. They use it in places where there's background noise. They speak normally. They say names. They speak the way you and I normally speak, which is they have some ums and ahs, and they repeat themselves, and they speak normally in Jott. And for a speech recognition engine, all by itself, to take that, the noise and the pops and the poor cellular connectivity issues, and to turn out 100% accurate transcription is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It really is quite impossible. And so what we've done is we take the voice and we run it through actually now a couple different speech recognition engines, and we've gotten very, very smart about this.
Wow.
And we pull out we sort of pre-process as much as we can. And then we have people, frankly, on the other side of the planet, thank God for the speed of light, and on the other side of the planet who clean up pieces of this. And it's very much like people who work in call centers overseas who process information, or people who in the medical transcription business where they write up doctor's notes and things like that. It's very highly organized. It's highly secure. It's very controlled, and it's a real challenge to get it right for a lot of reasons. One, because a bunch of people are spread all over the place, and two, we got to keep the quality high, and three, we need to do it at a price that'll translate, or at a cost that'll translate to an affordable product here in the United States, and that is not easy to do. And I'm happy to say that that's not easy to do, because it makes it very difficult to replicate what we've done. But speech is going to get better and better and better and better, and I'm excited about the prospects there, because every time there's sort of an evolution in the state of the art there, we get to benefit. But we benefit from it, and so do our customers.
And the one thing too that I have to mention is your turnaround time. I want that message almost as quickly as I hang up. And for all intent and purposes, you guys are pretty much achieving that. Yeah,
it's interesting. We we decided that we're not a real time business. That is, we're not we don't need to be real time, because the case that we're modeling most of our design around is the person sitting in a car who really needs to capture that thought, that action item, or that idea that they had, or that that promise that they made to a customer. They need to capture that so they don't forget it. And it's not critical that they get it immediately or real time. What's important that it is safe and secure and captured. Mm-hmm. And so it can be a couple minutes delay, no problem. So that's what we model that on, and we usually achieve that pretty well. There are times when we have super fast turnaround, and there's some times when it takes a little bit longer, but overall, it's we get the turnaround done very quickly.
It really is remarkably fast. And you had mentioned that one of your demographics are somebody sitting in the car.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm finding is that your demographic pretty much is anyone who has a cell phone. When I pitched the Social Media Bible to John Wiley & Sons, the first question they asked was, "What is your demographic?" And of course, the classic answer that they hate is everyone.
Right.
Because that it isn't. But in the case of social media, in fact, it was. But I really think that in the case of Jott, really your demographic is anyone who has access to a cell phone.
Well, that's right. I mean, we designed it so that anybody, it could be useful for anybody. We really believe, we kind of have this mantra inside the company, in our little office here, we have this mantra that says everybody should have Jott 123 on speed dial. And we mean that, whether you're a casual user who, uses it a couple times a week, or if you're a super hardcore Jotter who, uses it many times a day, it's almost like this insurance. It's almost like having it's almost like having AAA on your phone. It's just there. You should have it there, and it's so simple that it scales well from a grandmother who's trying to text to her grandchildren, to the road warrior who's reeling off expenses as he gets out of his cab, and it is a really broad set, and we're not. It doesn't mean that we're sloppy. It doesn't mean that we're not targeting people, but I think everybody's got too much going on these days. Everybody could use a little bit of help, and happily, Jott morphs itself to whatever kind of need you need. If you need casual usage of it, great. If you need really, really heavy usage of it, we also scale to that. So it works out well for everybody.
And I like it because it's a 24/7 digital pad and pen.
Yeah.
I never have to look for a pencil. Yeah.
It's robust, there's no downloads, you don't have to worry about whether it's, conflicting with the other software on your phone, you can even dial Jott from multiple lines. If your cell phone isn't at hand, you could dial it from your landline at home if you had that number programmed into Jott. So it's really robust. It's very reliable. It's dependable. It's like it's that person that I sort of described at the beginning. It's this dependable assistant who does these things for you, and it's a no-brainer.
Wow. One of the things that I did notice that you have changed recently is your business model. You've switched over to the somewhat industry common freemium, which is great because you have to pay the bills, you got to cover the overhead, and we're still talking inexpensive. Can you just kind of tell the listeners a little bit about that new business model?
Sure. Yeah. We said from the beginning of the company that, well, not quite the beginning, but as soon as it became clear to us, how people were using Jott and the kind of demands that we would have on the product, we said, all right, it's very likely that we're going to have both a free product and a premium product that is, so a free product that is ad supported, and then a premium product where ads were suppressed because, we have a lot of business users, a lot of corporate types who use Jott, and they don't want advertising in the product, and that's very understandable. And so we always knew that we were going to have this sort of split. And the question for us was really, how do you do this in a way that is most effective for most people? And we think we've come up with a formula that's good. So there's a terrific free product. It's fantastic. It allows you to Jott. You have this. You have a website that you go retrieve your Jotts on, or you have this client that we built called Jott Express, which is very, very slick. I mean, people kind of are beginning to realize how cool this is. It's a download that sits on your desktop and is a little list manager, and it's lightning fast, and it works in offline mode, and it's a very, very, very nice piece of technology. So free people get to use those, and then premium people, don't have ads. But they also get to, get their Jotts in email, and they get to send other people Jotts. We made a decision that said we're gonna take out the ability to send other people Jotts in the free plan because we didn't want to put advertisements in Jotts that you're sending to other people. We talked to a lot of people, and they agreed. They said, people who I'm sending a Jott to do not want an ad in the Jott. They do not want to get spammed by me. Yeah. And so we said, all right, emailing to other people is going to have to be an ad-free experience, and thus it's going to have to be in our premium product. And the good news is that our premium product is extremely affordable. It's about 13 cents a day, so it's about $3.95 a month. There are annual plans as well. But we call it kind of the double mocha plan because it's basically the cost of a double mocha per month. And for that you get the ability to capture capture these ideas, any one of which could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to a business person. You get the ability to text and email people hands free while in the car. So this is a legal requirement in some states. and a whole bunch more. And so we felt that, we designed the free plan really well, and the premium plan is super affordable. And the reactions that we've gotten since we've come out of beta have been overwhelmingly positive. There have been some people who are pretty disappointed. I will not lie. There's some people who just can't conceive of paying for anything on the web, and they feel really, they don't feel good about that. But I'd say 95% of people, maybe even higher than that, have been very supportive because, and this is what it comes down to, is that they basically said, look, I love Jott, I'm committed to it, I want it to stick around, I want you guys to be around, and therefore I want you to have a business model that's not some bet. We want you to have a real business over the long term, and so they're more than happy to pay $395 or more. And so it's been a really interesting experience, frightening in some ways, because the days before we came out of beta, we literally lost a little bit of sleep because we just we knew that we were going to be disappointing some of our customers. But ultimately, it's been a great thing.
Well, and I think you brought up a couple of good points. First of all, you listened to your customers. That's the root of what social media really is all about, is user-generated content and actually having this two-way communication. And I appreciate the fact that you, as a founder, CEO of the company, will actually listen to your customers, ask them what they want. And the other thing that I hear, too, is that the freemium model does seem to work, and anybody who's not happy with it really isn't, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but they're really not intelligent business people. That if you don't make money 2 years from now, you won't be there any longer for them.
That's right. That's right. Some people, I think, we joke, some of us entrepreneurs joke that some startups have a business model, and that business model is to be acquired. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but, we can't run the business that way. We have to run the business and design it in a way that allows us to stick around for the long term. And most people are very, very understanding. It's a small minority, and even that small minority, I know where they're coming from. Times are tough. It's not like people have money, pouring out of faucets in their house, and they're pinching pennies, and I agree with that. But Jott provides just a gigantic value for people, and so far so good.
And you brought up a really good point too. I mean, we're talking about the cost of a fancy cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And that's a small price to pay to have a digital assistant.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Is there any kind of statistics, any kind of a user base, or any kind of information that you can give us so that we have an idea of the order of magnitude of you guys?
Sure. We don't release specifics particularly at this point yet, but Jott's approaching 500,000 customers, which is an extraordinary number, really, given that we haven't spent any money on marketing, and we haven't. We're not signed up with AT&T or Verizon or some other carrier for distribution. We're just the community has gotten excited about Jott, and they've pulled it along, and we've gotten to this point, and so we're fairly big. We've got good activity in the sense of our active user base is pretty high of that number, and so things are going very well. We're growing month over month at a nice clip. It'll be interesting to see what happens to that after since we're post beta in terms of does that growth decline just a little bit or settle down just a little bit. I imagine it would, but so far so good, and we're making a lot of people really happy. It's one thing to get into a little startup and get a couple hundred customers, a couple thousand customers. But when you have hundreds of thousands of customers and you do millions of Jotts, and we're now well over 5 million Jotts having been done, you get to a different order of magnitude, and it's a different thing, and it takes on a life of its own, and it's all good.
Well, I got to say congratulations. I mean, the type of growth that you experienced, because the first time I talked to you, which I think was last December, the numbers were significantly lower. So you really are exponentially growing. So you must be doing something right.
Well, it's just the product is. It's easy to adopt, It's not painful. It lets you use it, the product the way you use other things. It works with Outlook. It works with Mac Mail. It works with web-based mails. It works with any browser. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the proposition is, look, as I get older here, every day I have a reminder that my memory is not foolproof. And so, I think this is a common problem. People want to be able to offload stuff to something that's trusted.
Yes.
And it just works.
And I insist that the reason my memory is going is not because of my age. It's just simply my head is full.
Well, that's right. We live in a day and age where we have the luxury of so much information access. It's a great thing, really. If the web is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Some of the information is garbage, some of it's great, but at least you have the freedom of parsing that yourself, and that can be overwhelming. And we're all expected to do 150%. We're all expected to be overachievers at work, to be the ultimate parents,
yep.
To be the ultimate children. We're expected not to, we're expected to not really compromise on anything, and something's got to give. And oftentimes, your brain just, there's not to be too technical, but it's sort of like buffer overrun. You just have too much going on, and you need some help. And Jott's a great solution for that. Jott's
there for you. Can you tell our listeners? Okay, now obviously anybody who listens to this is going to want to run out and sign up for Jott. Is it you keep saying it's an easy process. Where do they go? How do they do this?
Yeah, the best place to start is our website. You can actually we have a phone number, and that is sort of the access point for Jott, which is 1-866-JOTT-123. And you can start that way. But I would recommend that people go to the web and go to our website, jott.com, and start. And there's a big getting started button there, and you'll see all of the different features, and it's a very, very straightforward website, and you'll be signed up whether on a free plan or a premium plan within literally minutes. There's really very few hurdles to adoption. It doesn't matter what carrier you're on. It doesn't matter what kind of handset you have.
That's terrific, and you even make the sign up, the start button big, so you can't even miss that.
I know. It's we had an internal debate on the web on the site design. It's like, are we making it too big? Are we insulting our customers? But no. What people appreciate is simplicity. They've got too much going on. They don't want to have to troll through your site and figure out how to use it. They just want simple directions, and that's what we give.
Make it as intuitive as possible, just like the rest of the program. I love it. Is there anything else that you think that you can add? Any kind of a story or information that you think our listeners might benefit from?
Well, I think I just leave it that we've designed a simple product that has powerful application in people's lives, and no two individuals on Jott use it exactly the same way. There's a woman who uses Jott to manage the in-home care of her ailing dad, her aging dad, and she's got I think 4 or 5 people who come in during the day and look after her dad, and she uses Jott to communicate with those people. She can send them a group Jott in one phone call. She can send them individual Jotts with a single phone call, because she's a working woman, and so she has to be able to do this at work. Wow. So she's adapted Jott to something that's very critical for her in her personal life. We have people who use Jott in the business world to, take action items and communicate with their teams and just be more organized. We have students who use it to take down assignments. We have teachers who use it to broadcast class assignments. We have, just every imaginable sort of use case being done on Jott, and that, I think that speaks to a couple things. One is that we didn't decide, as a company, we didn't say this is how you should use the product. We simply said we're going to keep it really simple, and you can take it where you want to take it. And that was a great decision, and I think that's the way, social media is working on the web, is that there's, it's extremely democratic.
Yes.
And Jott is that way. We haven't over-engineered it. We haven't burdened it with features, although there's some really cool things. And you can do with it what you want.
I love it, John. I'd really like to thank John Pollard, the founder and CEO of Jott, for being with us here today and talking about digital convergence and Jott and social media. John, truly, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, really.
This was great. This has been Lon Safko, the co-author of the Social Media Bible. Be sure to check out our other valuable social media tactics, tools, and strategies that can be found in the Social Media Bible book and its companion website, www.thesocialmediabible.com. And for more information about me, Lon Safko, please go on over to my website. That can be found at www.lonsafko.com. And again, John, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Lon. Take care.